don't know what that means. Good morning, Jamie. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Jack. I'm well. Summer's gone now, isn't it, already?
It's great. It's gone. It's nearly autumn, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've been a busy man this past weekend, haven't you? I heard. Well, you told me that Eric Rosa was coming over to the UK, but you didn't give me, too much more information than that. Do you want to kind of fill us in with what happened this past weekend?
Yeah. Well, we kept it super secret because you never know what's going to happen with COVID, whether they may come over or not. But a couple of weeks ago, I got a call from Holly, who runs TO CrossFit out in Sheen, where I coach, and she mentioned that the leadership team from CrossFit are coming over on a European tour, going to kind of spend a couple of days in London, a couple of days kind of all across Europe visiting affiliates, having affiliate gatherings, and the London or the UK based gathering was going to be at one of the gyms I work at, which was pretty cool. I thought I'll just be able to go down and like watch and kind of like not be an affiliate owner, but kind of be an affiliate owner and just have a little bit of a nosy around and meet some people. But it transpired that they wanted to do a big workout. Obviously, TO's it's called Train Inside Out, so it's an indoor and an outdoor space. So it's undercover the majority of the time, but there's a big rugby field next to it where you can kind of get a lot of people. So cut a long story short, Ben, who was part of the successful team in 2017 and is a good friend of mine, me and him, we ran a workout or a class for 180 people. That's a lot of people.
How do you run a class and even plan a class for 180 people? That is an insane amount. It's crazy.
I would say it was initially quite a daunting experience until we then stripped it back and went, okay, what realistically can we do with 180 people from an equipment point of view, and then to a space, and then there was two of us. So we kind of looked at really simply, we had a chat about, well, what's the needs of the class? Everyone that was due to come was an affiliate owner. So we had a current idea of most people knew the basics of everything. We wouldn't say, as we all know, that every affiliate owner is not going to be a games level athlete, but we know they have a general gist of how to move potentially quite well. And then they could have brought a +1. So we were going to say that they were hopefully going to bring another half who does CrossFit or one of their coaches. So the overall coaching element was not necessarily going to be the issue, we hoped. And it didn't end up being bad. The next thing we worked through, we were like, okay, well, what equipment can we use? We don't have 90 things. So then we were like, well, let's try and use barbells. And we called on like the local CrossFit community, and they were well received. We borrowed barbells from the other gym I work at, Blitz. We borrowed them from New Wave. We've been on the plan before. And a couple of rowing clubs who are kind of down close by the river. And they all just literally brought their barbells. So we ended up with 100 empty barbells on a rugby field in 2 lines of 50, which was pretty cool.
So cool. Yeah,
it did. And funny story is, obviously, when you park at TO, you park at the far end of the rugby field, and then you walk along the pitch down to the gym. And because we put the barbells either sides of the posts all the way down, it was a bit like a guard of honor. And genuinely, everyone getting out of their car was just walking down the middle of the barbells, and we were all looking like, that looks pretty weird, but then it started to look pretty cool. So that was the logistics of trying to manage potentially 200 people coming to a workout. So we got them in pairs, and then we did a partner workout, and they could pair up with someone they didn't know, or they could pair up with their partner who they brought along. So
what workout did you end up like programming? What did you do?
Yeah, so the workout was a You Go I Go workout, where they had 3 different barbell movements. So we brought the sumo deadlift high pull in, which is it comes around probably once every 5 years. It turned around at a regional. You did it on your level 1, and then when we did it. A few people gave us a little cheer because we brought back one of those movements that's not normally done. So sumo deadlift high pull, you had 80 of those to complete as a pair. Then you had some shuttle runs from the middle of the field out to the sideline and back. You had 6 of those between your pair, and then 40 bar facing burpees, which you split. And that was technically round 1. Then round two, the barbell movement changed to a thruster. And then the barbell movement changed in the third round to just a below the knee hang snatch. Once they'd done all that, we kind of wanted it to feel like the last event at the games, and most of the last events at the games finish off with a lunge. So we made them lunge all the way to the outside of the field with one person, then one person lunged it back.
That's cool.
To say it was competitive is an understatement.
Bragging rights.
Yes,
a big time there.
England and Scotland were way out. The two Welsh guys, obviously, we were going to say they're a bit cheaty. They one team was a games team, or half a games team, and then Andy Edwards was in there as well, and he was rattling up and down on lunges. Not competitive. I caught up with him the next day, and he was like, "Those lunges got my glutes." So yeah, pretty effective workout with an empty bar.
That is really cool. So who from like CrossFit, like who came over? Obviously Eric was there.
Yeah, so Eric Rosa come over, which is great to see the owner and technically all of our bosses. The success of all of what we do kind of is based off of how successful he can make the business. So he come over, and then as CrossFit's growing, and obviously all the kind of hoo-ha we've had, the team, the leadership team's growing. So got a guy called, probably the best name in CrossFit or maybe in the world, called Gary Gaines, who's come over from a different business. Great guy. He's kind of come in and hit the ground running, really good public speaker. And we've also got our first non-American president, a guy who's just kind of come into here. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, he maybe he's come from the Nike background, but again brings like a fresh face and a fresh tone. So those three have come over, and they've been like supported by Deck and Ollie Mansbridge and a few other guys who are kind of managing all through the UK. Carl Stedman couldn't be there. I think he was at a wedding from Oakley
Insurance.
So, yeah. So it was a tough decision, but I'm guessing decisions were made that day. But yeah, those guys come over. We did the workout, and then we had all of the affiliates had an opportunity to kind of have a Q&A and meet him. Some great questions were asked about the competitive side of it, the health side of it, and how CrossFit as a business are growing to kind of create more tools for affiliate owners to help. So they're doing some things, or they're trying to do some things that we're already doing as JSP affiliate, which is pretty cool. So it's kind of, it gave us a bit of a nod to kind of go, right, we're going in the right direction, and we're talking about the right things.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to know, a bit more of like, what are their plans going forward? Like you said, on the health side, what are they kind of planning on doing there? On the competitive side, did they go into a bit more detail there? Yeah, it'd be good to.
Yeah, so from some of the questions asked about the competitive side, it was like, obviously there's been a whole host of changes in format. Eric answered for Dave Castro. Obviously he didn't go into too many specifics because Dave wasn't there, but I think the overarching theme for the competition side of the business is to not change too much next season, because there's been a huge amount of changes. And I think when he said that, all of the affiliates were like, that sounds good. That sounds good, because obviously when you run the open in your gym, if it's coming up at a different month each time, or if you're unsure on how the format's going to go in terms of the next stages, it can only mess with everybody's year and everybody's season. And I think kind of going back to that more standardized format of the progression was well received. So I think that was the big one. I
think everyone's reached a tether with a different change in season format, that's for sure. So like you say, some stability at least for the next couple of years would be nice again, so we get the same format for sure. That's good. Good to know. What about, I don't know, any other changes that stood out, or anything else that they said that stood out to you?
I think they're growing lots of content that we can pull from, and everybody should be looking to use it. In terms of, someone asked a great question about quality control. Is there going to be kind of quality control across affiliates in terms of how programming is done, how kind of health and safety is managed, and those kind of things? And they said that it's all kind of on their list of projects to do. I think with CrossFit and with most of the things that they 99% of the time stuff that is delivered is very good quality. So I don't think they want to rush it. I think they want to take kind of advice from what's going on and then build it out likewise. But the general theme is both sides of the fence can help. Health and the fitness and the competition side should work synonymously, and that rings true. I remember watching the first Zoom call that Eric Rosa did with Dave Castro, and because I was like, at the end of the day, we need to kind of get a feel for it. And he said they can work together, and he's still saying the same thing, which is very good from a coherence point of view.
It is very good, that, because obviously the competitive side of things usually inspires, you know, people on the health side of things, which I think, you know, really important. And that's something with JST Compete and JST Train, we obviously, you know, try and we try and put that idea across as well. It's like people on the class program, they're doing, you know, a variation of stuff that people are doing on the, you know, compete program to some extent on some of the stuff. So it's like, you know, it's nice to have you just feel a bit more invested in it, don't you? And a bit more of a connection. It's like, oh, he's doing that, and I'm doing, like, you know, something. I'm doing the same workout this week or something similar. So, yeah, I think it's really cool that.
It differs by degree, not kind. Like, everyone should be aspiring to look at that muscle up, but ultimately, some people, it might be just trying to achieve hanging off of the pull-up bar, and everybody's on that journey in between, which is something that's really important, not to segregate the two, because I know we do a question of the day at Blitz, and the other day it was, what would you give your beginner CrossFit self when you started? And a lot of people were talking about not to be intimidated by CrossFit, and so your first footfall into, oh, I might do some CrossFit stuff, is seeing it on YouTube and obviously seeing the extreme element. So in terms of building out more of the health-based stuff, it isn't that Gucci, but it should, the platform should link towards, okay, I like the CrossFit Games, but what do you actually do at the gym? I had this conversation with my mum years ago when Blitz opened. She knew of the CrossFit Games from me watching it at home, to then going, well, what do the normal people do? And I was like, well, look, they do similar stuff, but maybe not as crazy. And she's like, I can't get my head around it. And then when she saw it, so as in technically viewed it, she was like, oh, okay, now I understand the whole, like, they're trying to do the same thing, but they're doing it in a different way. That would be something that hopefully they'll get better at.
Yeah, but it's a great point, that as well, actually, because like you say, you go on the CrossFit Games like page, and obviously they've all, like, the CrossFit Games videos, and those are probably the go-to ones that most people see. You don't see as much, like you said, that what the everyday person's doing. So, like, videos of, like, classes in gyms or snippets of classes in gyms. I know it's on the CrossFit page, but I don't feel like it's pushed out on, like, Instagram and that sort of stuff as much as what it could be, you know, to appeal to, like, you know, the everyday person. I feel like it needs to be kind of blended in there a bit more in between those CrossFit Games posts with, you know, what's going on a bit more, really.
Totally agree. They mentioned about the online presence of the amount of views. I can't remember the number, but I want to say it was like 99 million or some ridiculously absurd number of views live for the CrossFit Games. And if you think of that many views versus how many members, how many gyms and things like that, there's a big disconnect. So one of their big focus was to branch out of America and focus more on Europe and Africa and Asia and those countries, to kind of say, well, look, there's a huge presence in the US, but not necessarily everywhere else. So trying to grow it across is obviously exciting for us, because then we get more exposure to what's going on, and it doesn't always feel like you're watching. Maybe we won't always watch an open announcement at like 1 a.m. in the morning and then panic about trying to coach it at 6 a.m. the next day. Maybe
it's so true that. Yeah, every now and again. So what, like, you know, Ollie's job for the UK and for Ireland and stuff. So what's his, like, role now? Because obviously I kind of know he's the face behind CrossFit UK and that sort of stuff, but I'm not too clear on what he really does now.
So he's just had a promotion So he's gone
Right.
from being the UK affiliate manager into the Europe manager. So he's overseeing the whole of
Okay.
Europe. I'm pretty sure
Right.
I listened to that correctly. And then
Yeah.
Carl Steadman, like the kind of the goat of UK CrossFit, he's come in and taken on the UK format. So everybody's kind of moved in. So I think they're just getting more and more kind of humbling and powerful people in the right places to kind of help drive and have someone to sound off of, obviously from an affiliate point of view, who is there to report to. Obviously, if you've got a legal case, you can talk to HQ, but apart from that, it was about fighting for yourself. Whereas now you've got someone who will understand your situation, because in the US, opening a gym and running a gym is going to be a completely different kettle of fish to running one in Wigan or down in London. So having someone with the actual country-based experience is going to make a huge difference, because you're going to cut out so much of the faff that you actually had to have kind of explaining about parking. So in London, a lot of when you open a gym, you're going to struggle with planning application due to how your members are going to get to the gym. So you have to, I know Blitz had that for quite a while, where we had to basically outline that would be a green-based business. So we don't provide parking, but we've got cycling, we've got transport links in terms of buses and trains and things like that. Whereas other gyms, if you're in Cookeville, Tennessee, and you've got like 68 acres of land, and you could bang up a car park right there, kind of thing.
It's true.
Those different problems are there.
Right. Okay. That's really interesting to know, because like I didn't know if Ollie was just purely like trying to do social media based stuff, or like, you know, and I presume they're just a go-to for any problems or any advice that you need, or I don't know, basically anything out there. Yeah,
I think kind of if you don't know the answer, maybe ask the box closest to you, and then if you don't know that, maybe a conversation into Carl now, or if it needs to go to Ollie, if you know Ollie, go to Ollie. Yeah, plenty of people to talk to. I think that's probably the main thing to come out of it, which is good.
Yeah, that is good, because no doubt as well, probably there's at least one coach in every box probably in the UK that's been coached by Carl, so it would probably be nice to have, you know, a bit of a familiar face to be able to approach in that position as well. Not that I'm saying Ollie wasn't, but Ollie's always tended to be a bit more behind the scenes with what he's done. So yeah, that is cool. Busy man, you doing little bits.
I know, things to get around.
Sometimes
it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Are there any more plans for, I don't know, that sort of event or anything similar?
Yeah, I think the big thing coming off the back of it was that it needs to happen more regularly. Obviously it was in London this time, so it doesn't, I think the main conversation that I was having with lots of people was that it shouldn't be a year before it happens again. It shouldn't be another post-games thing. It should be more like, can it be quarterly, and then can it be similar kind of events that are dotted around the country? So for instance, obviously it was down south on a Friday. If it was quite short notice to make it, how are all affiliate owners able to make it? Can we base one up in the north? Can we go over to Ireland and all those kind of things? So there's an opportunity for that kind of regional aspect to get back together, because again, they will have potentially similar problems in that same locality. So yeah, that was a big chat of hopefully to do more of them, and again meeting up with like fellow like CrossFitters and shooting breeze, having a beer is it's nice to get outside your own bubble.
Definitely, just like a bit of networking, because like we've said before, and like especially with how we've kind of shifted your role a little bit, it's just kind of talking to people and getting, you know, different ideas between different people, because that's how better ideas come together. And you know, you end up coming, you know, thinking of new ways, or someone tells you a different way to do it, which, you know, means you can then do things better. So yeah, only good stuff can come from meeting up more, for sure. So yeah, that's exciting. It's good. Cool. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up there. Great to talk about that, Jamie. And it's just interesting.
Thank you.
Interesting to see, you know, that CrossFit is starting to, like not just be focusing on America, but starting to look, you know, a bit beyond the horizon as well. So yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much, mate.
Awesome. No
Speak
worries.
soon.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.